didn't record it yet, so I'm starting to record it now. Hey, Charm. So, okay, well, did any of you guys read the 50th Gene Key or anything like that? Did any of you guys get a chance to read it? We're just calling it in. You guys can type in the chat too if you're not really available to chat. I know some of you guys are muted. So. Okay, well, I read it and I wanted to talk about a couple things that I found in the book. Let's see. Oops, sorry.
Ashley?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I read it.
I can. Oh, you read it? Yes, I can hear you. You read it? So what did you
see me?
Yeah, I can see you too.
I can't see anyone.
Oh, that's weird.
Hang on, maybe I've got it on the wrong thing.
Because I can see.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Camera's on. You can like hop off and then hop back on and see.
Okay, let me try that.
Yeah. Cheryl says, I read the book and basically dissatisfaction is a lack of joy, but it's hard, first of all. Yeah, so in reading The Shadow, it really illuminated that dissatisfaction is needed because it allows us to pursue a different experience. So when we feel this dissatisfaction, we move, it's a pressure because the 58th gene key is located in the root chakra. So that chakra is all about stress, pressure rising up in you. And then it is our fuel. So it's what drives us. So when we feel that dissatisfaction, we move to liberate us, to change us, to change what happens. And so sometimes what keeps us in dissatisfaction is instead of being present in the moment, we look to a future that isn't created yet and that is not tangible because we're thinking, okay, my dissatisfaction stems from this and I'm not going to be able to have happiness until XYZ. So we are looking towards the future to make us happy, or we're looking to a past event and saying, okay, this used to make me happy. I'm going to go and do this in the present because I know that in the past, this is what made me happy. So when you're trying to recreate that satisfaction, when you're trying to recreate that vitality or bliss energy, it doesn't really work out because you're drawing from something that happened in the past when you really need to be getting in touch and in tune with your life force energy that is in the present. And so that just means getting into your heart, because I think dissatisfaction stems from the mind and expectations and perception. So when you get back into your heart, you start aligning with the things that you love, is kind of my take on that. So Annie said, I didn't get to read it, but I do think that when you're dissatisfied, you can use your vitality to rise above it, even to achieve bliss. Yeah, so when you're able to tap into that dissatisfaction, be like, okay, this isn't an experience I want. Because we're conscious creators, we get to decide what we create. We get to decide how to shift our energy. It's our energy. So it's more about calling back all those parts and pieces of you and feeling that entirety, that wholeness of your energy and your vitality. Your vitality is this energy that just, vibrates off of you. So it's what attracts situations, circumstances. It's what makes you feel healthy. It's what makes you feel excited, vibrant, and all that stuff. And it's in our dissatisfaction that we kind of repress that energy. Or not, actually, we don't repress it. Because you can't repress your life force. If you repress your life force, we would be able to kill ourselves. You can't repress your life force. So there is no repressive action or tendency in that. It's just a reactive tendency, and you're reacting towards your dissatisfaction. So let's see. Vitality is aligning with the thing that you love. Hey, Heather, right? Heather? Oh, hey. Yeah. Hey, Heather. Let's see, Annie or Cheryl was saying vitality is aligning with the thing that you love, ? I think that when you align with the thing you love, the universe and your energy conspires to make whatever you want happen. So it's kind of like you get the wheel turning and then it builds this momentum and then it creates more and more life force. Like your wheels start turning and you start creating more energy for yourself. when you're not aligned or you're saying yes to something you're not really excited about, that makes you dissatisfied. That makes you not excited about doing it. So there's no life force energy available to you. So that's where you go into hustle and force. And that never creates good outcome for you. Most things I found bliss with have been places. Alaska, Istanbul, just beautiful places. I just want to take it in and be. Annie is Amy. Okay, Amy. I was wondering, I was like, who's Annie Starr? I don't know who Annie Starr is. Okay, Amy. So what do you guys think? Have you guys been able to tap into vitality and life force energy in places or in nature? Do you feel like that it's easy to tap into that? Yeah. Where else do you guys experience vitality? Like more examples of different circumstances that bring you vitality?
Yeah, so over the weekend, I started Kundalini yoga, and that was huge. With like the different releasing of the energy, and then there were specific like movements that we did that created vitality. And then the more that I process through my emotions and release thought patterns and energetics and stuff, the more that I can feel myself like filling with life force rather than like that stuck, stagnant, like heavy energy and stuff.
Oh, I like that. So do you feel that you can tap into your energetic field and like feel into the stuck energy or the blocks or anything like that? And what do you do to release that?
Yeah. So when I'm paying attention and I'm present, I can do that. So I'll do like a body scan, and then kind of just tune in on how it wants to be released at that moment. So like sometimes that's doing like energy work, and it's just, as quick and easy as like regrounding and like cutting cords and balancing my chakras and releasing and like clearing my whole field and all that. Other times it's like I need to like, not necessarily, haven't done a whole lot of like necessarily writing out mindset work stuff, but a lot of like quick shifting in my mind as far as like my thoughts go, and recognizing if like my thought pattern is on like an addictive loop of like something that's bringing me heaviness or weight, or like processing my emotions. And so even just like feeling into like, if I feel the heaviness in my chest, it's like sometimes I just need to cry. And I don't always have to know why, and then it like releases, and then I have energy again. So like that kind of stuff, or like, reaching out and calling a friend, or a mentor, or like even like physical contact, like touch with my husband, or like touching, like I hugged one of my mentors tonight. That kind of like really shifts me too, or like you said, being outside in nature. Sometimes I need an Epsom salt bath or a nap or water, or like some green powder with like my body needs, like specific supplements, that type of thing. So I really just kind of like tune in and listen, and then like listen for what tools or what it is that needs to like process through that.
Yeah, because it sounds like you use like internal tools and then external tools. So like you have like the plethora of these different things. So like versatility of tools, and being able to like work through and honor your emotions and whatever's going through you, like being able, I think the biggest, okay, so before we were spiritual and awakened and like into this woo stuff, I feel like, what did we do before then? It was always like, talking it out with friends or going to the gym and like working it out, because anything that you can do to like get your blood pumping, I feel is what circulates that life force energy too. And so then when you start being conscious of your energy, you start understanding where your zaps are, where your drains are, where you're giving your energy away to other things, and what's causing that dissatisfaction and disdain. Because understanding how your energy is working, feeling into that allows you to look into, where's your energy going and how can you call it all back to you? Because if you think about it too, when you're present and you're bringing your presence into the present moment, you're not giving it away to anywhere else. It says it doesn't feel drained. And I feel like most of the dissatisfaction comes from your life force energy being elsewhere. and having those expectations, or giving it to somebody else, or giving your power away to somebody else, or just feeling like you're stuck in a rut. So victim patterns definitely show up for people and cause dissatisfaction. So let me see if I can, hold on. So in, here it is. In the Gene Keys, there is a list of victim patterns that you guys can, I think I posted it in our group. I did. Let me screen share with you guys. There's a list of victim patterns, and all of these could be one of the culprits of why you're feeling dissatisfaction, because dissatisfaction comes from you not being able to use that life force energy. You feel like it is pulled from you and that you're stuck somewhere. So when your energy's stuck, you become a victim of your energy, and that's not right. So in the Gene Keys, it goes through each of the Gene Keys and talks about the different victim patterns. So what is Gene Key 58? So, oh, look at this. So the victim is victim of ingratitude. And that could be your own ingratitude or other people's ingratitude. So when you're not grateful for the present moment, you fall into that victim of your own ingratitude or victim of others' ingratitude. And so that's where you're seeking it elsewhere, because you're comparing where you're at now, or either where you want to be or where you've been, instead of being present. So that's why we feel dissatisfaction, because we're comparing. And comparison and judgment and opinion always come in the mind. And that's always a shadow frequency. So opinion is the 17th, I think, and the 18th is judgment, the 18th Gene Key, the 17th Gene Key. So all of these shadow frequencies come to play when you start moving out of the present, when you stop being and start projecting elsewhere.
Ashley, I know in the, I think you called it a watch party or TV party or
oh yeah,
party. Yeah.
In the other group? Are you talking about the other
yes.
group? Yeah.
And so I don't know if I'm misinterpreting what you were saying, but you were saying something along the line, so please correct me if I'm wrong, that you try not to stay in the shadow, you want to stay in the gift.
Yeah.
But shouldn't you be there so that you can recognize it, so that then you can move to the gift?
Yes. Yeah. So I do like to focus on the gift frequency, but I've spent enough time that I don't feel like I'm putting my energy too much here. Like, oh, I need to figure this out. It's more mindfulness. So when you're in the shadow and when you're looking at your victim patterns, it's not because you need to fixate on them. You just have to be aware, because in order to sap a pattern, you have to recognize it, because if you don't know what's going on, you can't change it. And so if you guys are aware of these things, you're able to move into the gift frequency. But if you can, and you don't have to know this stuff, and you don't have to go hang out in the shadows at all. You can choose to just be in the gift frequency. It works the same. But if you feel like, I don't want to bypass anything, which you're not bypassing in choosing to just focus on the gift. It's not bypassing, because if you just focus on the gift, you start shedding all that shadow regardless. You start shedding stuff regardless. But you can spend time in the shadow. And I have spent time looking at my victim patterns and being like, oh, look what I'm doing. Oh, look what my partner's doing too. So you're able to see when they're in the shadow. But remember, our focus isn't there, because if you just focus on the shadow, you're only going to see the shadow. When you focus on the gift, you start seeing the gift more. And we want you to focus on the gift frequency so that you can focus on vitality instead of dissatisfaction. Oh, look at this is what makes me dissatisfied. So if you're not feeling that vitality, if you're not feeling energized, if you're not feeling like you have full reign of your energy, look into that dissatisfaction. Because when you're not feeling in alignment, go look into the shadows and be like, why am I here? And then shift. But you have to know where you're at to be able to shift out of it, right? You're like, I know that I just don't want to be here, so let me shift out of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because I think,
like you could.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you go.
What are you gonna say,
I
Michelle?
was gonna say like you could take a copy of this page and like, because you know when you're feeling something that you don't like feeling, like you're like, oh, I'm judging that person. I don't ever judge that, or whatever. I'm judging that person. Let me acknowledge that. Let me pull out my sheet and see what gene key that goes to so I can connect the dots and see what it's like a puzzle. It's so,
It's
you
true.
could really identify, like, all right, you could look at this paper and be like, all right, that's number 58. And then, I mean, 58 is one of mine. But, and then like you look at 58, or, I mean, I don't know, you don't have to go get the book, but if you have it like wrote down, maybe in the back of that victim page, if you already know like what your most prominent ones are, so then like you can shift yourself into that gift. Is that what you mean, Ashley? Like,
Yeah, because I don't want you guys to get stuck or fixated in the shadows, because then you won't feel vitality. You're going to perpetuate the shadow. But when you are in the moment and in the present, and you're like, why do I feel pissed off? Why do I feel frustrated? Why? Like your conscious mind wants to know. Your ego wants to know, because in order for it to step aside, there's some kind of rationalization it needs. And so when you're able to look at this and be like, okay, 58, victim of ingratitude. Oh my God, okay, I need to be in the present moment, and I need to be grateful for having a roof over my head, for it being like a sunny day, or you need to start being grateful for what you have in the moment. And then you'll start feeling that vitality come back to you, because you are focusing on the present and you're here, being grateful for where you're at right now. So that's where vitality comes back to. So that's just how you shift out of being out of alignment. But if you're already in a good place, why do the shadow work? Do the shadows when you're in the shadows. Don't go there just because. If you're having a good day, and if you're I don't go into the shadows a lot anymore. I used to, because I felt dissatisfaction, because I woke up and I was like, have I been asleep my whole life? Like, I don't know who I am. And then I wanted to know, who am I? Who am I? The 10th gene key. I wanted to know, who am I? And so I went on that journey, and I was in the shadows, and I was like, what have I been letting myself be? What, and how did I give my power away, and how do I take it back? And how do I create in my life? So, yeah.
yeah, and I think it's like an issue when you're awakening, and like the ascension, and then when the energies are coming in, because like I can tell with like when the energies are coming in, I'm like, and just like the work that I've done, I'm a lot different. So I can tell like the shadow, and I'm like, why am I so pissed off? And yeah, like the more that you sit there, the harder it gets, because it increases, because you got to let it go. And that's your intuition telling you, let that shit go, or it's just going to get worse.
Because you can
And
hold
it's
on
like,
to it. Just like if you're like looking at your shadows and you're like, why are you here? Why are you here? You're still holding on to it. Like, can you leave? I can't leave unless you let me go.
right.
You really have to let it go, to let your vitality flow. Let it go to let vitality flow. Any questions? I wanted to show you guys this resource too. Or anything you want to add, comments, questions? No?
Yes, I have a question about so like as a projector, I need to rest more. And so even like right now, I'm tired. And so I didn't get a lot of like sleep last night, and I want to get up early in the morning, and it's been a long day. Like I put a lot of energy output, and I haven't had any naps. And it's been like kind of go with like moments of stillness. So my temptation pattern is to like, and like in the past, I've been addicted to caffeine as a way to try and like increase the life force, or like fake, So my temptation is like, I want to be on all the time, but I know that's like not realistic and not what's called for. And I think you called it like the energy road or the energy path dropping out and like finding another one. So I don't feel like dissatisfied or not. I just feel tired. Like I want to go to sleep. So I think that's like a normal human thing, but like kind of, I don't know. I feel like there's a question there that I'm not knowing how to ask.
So why do you feel like you have to be on all the time? Are you like, again, I'll ask this. Why do you feel like you have to be here? And on this call, and not, why did you choose this instead of sleep?
Yeah. Well, because I had other things to do, like making the eggs and the laundry and eating dinner to my mindfulness. So I was like, well, already be up. And then, you know, we chatted earlier and I want to connect. So like, I love the idea. And as I'm talking, I can feel it getting like riled up again. Like love talking about the gene keys and like connecting and all that kind of stuff. And I felt like there was something on the call for me. So like if I intuitively feel the pull, sometimes I kind of like try to move myself in the direction of vitality. And then other times I'm like, I just need to sleep. But I feel like part of it's like I have so much life that wants to express through me, and like so many creativity things or like inspiration at times. It's like I could be awake 24/7 and still not like, you know, because like source is always expanding. So part of it kind of feels like that. And then that maybe there's like some ego of like wanting to do more than I do.
Well, so you don't have a root or a sacral. And so you feel the life force and the energy inside you, but you, what's really awesome about projectors is that you guys work really well in community because you're able, I'm a generator. So if you're like my energy, you're able to pull from my sacral. And then you get excited. Then you're like, yes, the energy's back to me. So I'm like cocaine to you, you know?
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, let me hang out with Ashley because I want to feel that. And you have to ask yourself, is this perseverance or is this hustle? And hustle is way different than perseverance. Perseverance is like pushing through with a purpose and there's no more struggle. Hustle is I have to do it because I have to prove myself and I have to do this. I have to be of service. And because projectors are only 20% of the population, they're not here to do all this crazy fucking work. Like doing the whatever, I don't know if you said eggs and laundry and yeah, that stuff is required. But
yeah,
it sucks sometimes because I have another friend that's a projector and she has like 5 kids and she's a stay-at-home mom and she wants to start her own business. And I'm like, man, this sucks for you because you're doing it all and you're a projector, and projectors aren't supposed to be workhorses. They're supposed to be guides. Like, okay, let's break this paradigm as the woman has to stay at home and do all the shit. And how about husband, since you are a generator, how about I tell you what to do? Don't take it offensively like I am telling you, the head of the household, to do, you know, what to do. No, that's not it. My husband's a projector, so he kind of makes out. I have all the energy. I just resent him sometimes because he's like, go do this. And I'm like, excuse me, did I ask you what to do with the situation? I didn't. And then he gets bitter, you know? Oh, look, there's that bitterness. So, you know, it's tough. You have to start asking yourself the right questions and asking yourself, what's the intention of this energy push? Like, where am I coming from? Is it self-sacrifice, self-sabotage? Is it hustle? Or is it because there's this genuine pull that comes, like, it's like this little like fire that lets you know there's something here. Because when you follow that, you're never disappointed or dissatisfied. There's always that vitality that comes out of that, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you're really open. So once your energy's done, it's bedtime for you. It's like, so I understand why you want that caffeine, because there's nothing that starts you or gets you going besides your willpower. Your willpower is the only thing that gets you going. It's if you are genuinely excited or triggered by something, you're like, okay, yeah, let's do that. Otherwise, it may take you a while in the morning to get going. The only pressure gate that you have that links to your sacral is 52. And that is stillness. That's that stress restraint. That's still me. There's no action. There's no action here. Besides, like, I mean, so this leads to your emotions, and this leads to your intuition and survival. So sometimes, and you have 58. And that's one of your main ones too. That's your radiance. It's 50 radiance. Yeah. So vitality is a big theme in your life.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Like, I have the same thing as her. I'm a projector. I have 58, and stillness is one of my things too.
Yeah. So you guys have similar. And
I live in Pennsylvania.
That's where I was born.
Oh, look. So you have those ones. I don't know. You guys may have the same ones, because if you have radiance, you also have, or if you have bliss, vitality, satisfaction, you have this too. So I don't know what your other 2 programming partners are, but you guys have part of the same gifts. So it's interesting. You guys are on the same call together with the same general gifts, you know?
We both found you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I have ecstasy, stillness,
Yeah, that's my evolution.
and
Yeah, you
bliss.
do. Look,
Yeah.
you guys have the same 4.
How
They might be in different.
crazy.
They might be in different orders. Like yours might be flip flopped, but you guys have the same ones. That's cool.
I didn't know that it's only 20% of the population and they're not like, you're supposed to just be guides. Gosh, I've been working my ass off my whole life. What the
No.
hell have I been doing
Well,
wrong?
usually projectors are asked to be like managers and stuff. And another thing projectors love is like courses and knowledge and understanding things, because sometimes when the world says no to you enough and like, I don't want your guidance, you want these like certifications or things to say, hey, guess what, my opinion is really fucking valid.
I know. That's why I'm like, I'm going to school for psychology because they're never going to want me to do Reiki on them. So I got to reel them in that way. Oh my gosh.
Okay, here's another question, because when my mother-in-law was here, she had all these like beliefs, like, oh, bad things happen in threes and yada yada. Like she was saying all these things. I want to ask you, like, if you are a conscious creator and you're and you have this belief that nobody's going to want to have Reiki done on them from someone who's not qualified or whatever, what if you were able to just let that belief go and then think, everybody wants Reiki done for me because I'm freaking badass, and that's why they want Reiki done for me. And projectors are very, like, their aura is very penetrating. So, like, you know exactly what somebody needs. Whereas I'm like a generator, so I get like the surface level stuff. I'm like, oh, look at this and look at this and look at that. You're like, let me get to the freaking root of this, and here's the root, and bye, goodbye, root. That's how projectors are.
I know, because like I've never been into this before, so I'm just like, nobody knows about Reiki. Probably half the town I live in doesn't. I wouldn't even know. But that you're right. Like that's just a belief that I'm just making up in my own head, which is probably false. Duh.
Release that belief. We don't need that anymore.
For real. I could be sitting at home right now instead of a hotel.
Oh my God, guys! Like, look at this. The I just noticed the channel of upliftment. We have 58, and then 18 is the other half of this one. That one is judgment, integrity, perfection. If we were just to release our judgment of the present moment, we would be able to see the perfection in every moment, and therefore be able to tap into our vitality and our bliss, because it's the judgment that makes us go to the future or the past and say, right now is not good enough. And that's where the ingratitude comes from. I just noticed that right here, the channel of upliftment. So you want to uplift yourself, see the perfection in every given moment, and that's how you tap into your bliss. So.
Which
You
one
know what I
is-
do about the tiredness? I'll let you know. I know what you mean about that, because like, yeah, and she's right. Like now I'm beat. It's 10:33. My phone's got 38%. But I'm beat. Like, and I'm like, no, I'm going on. I gotta hear this today, not tomorrow. That's just me though. I get into it and I'm like, I can't stop. But you know what I
that's
do?
what other people do. Mhm.
You live in PA, so I'm sure you have land. Right? You have like land outside.
Oh, I was born in PA, but yeah, I have land out here.
You know what I've been doing is wheatgrass. I bought them online, wheatgrass. It's like, it gives you energy for like 4 or 5 hours. And it's so good for you. It's like a detoxing. It looks like grass. You got to buy a wheatgrass juicer. You never heard of the wheatgrass shots, the health shots?
Yeah, I used to have them like a while ago, and now I do like greens where it's wheatgrass and spirulina and like a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, that wheatgrass, I eat that like it's, I don't even know.
You're like, let me feed this root. Like, come on, root, it's time to get with the program.
Yeah.
Let's wake up.
You know, okay, so what's also beautiful is that since we are moving into a new way of being, the new way is going to be the feminine energy. We are going to be getting rid of the masculine, of like, get out there and get it, which the projectors have tried to be, because society has conditioned us to, if you want it, go get it. So projectors are living in a toxic environment that is not good for them, because they're just like, I need to go out and get it and hustle to get shit done and to get the things that I want. And what's beautiful now is that we're moving into this feminine where, again, the feminine is rising, and it's more about being and lean back. And instead of getting out there to get it, we're able to lean back to manifest it and bring it to us. So actually, that's my radiance, and my purpose is learning about just being and magnetism and fluorescence. And that's all the feminine. Before, I was like, I need to hustle, because my projector friend, I was like, you're my guide, you teach me, you tell me what to do. And it was hustle, 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 because she was indoctrinated by like direct sales companies, by her job. And she was like, okay, Ashley, we got to do this. And I was like, okay, let's do this. And I was exhausted, and then I got bitter, and then my business like fell through, and it was horrible. And then when I was able to tap into my essence and my soul, I was able to just connect to what was fun for me, and then lean back, and it magnetized all the people to me that wanted the same thing. So what's happening is people are going to need guides to help them learn how to lean back. They're going to want to talk to projectors. They're going to want to learn the art of being, because they're going to realize that hustle doesn't work anymore. People's shit is going to start crashing. Like, their business are not going to work anymore, because the energy is starting to shift, and we're starting to come into play again. People don't know how to play. Do you guys know how to play? When I ask you, like, when I said, oh, tap into lightness, like last week it was about lightness and about play, and this is about bliss and vitality. Who do you think embodies this? Children. Do you guys know what it means to play? What does it mean to play for you? Do you remember what play is like?
I started to remember. I actually have been riding rides at Dorney Park every week with my kids. Getting on the rides. I haven't done that in like 15 years. My kids are like, ride with me. I'm like, yeah, let's go. I'm like, oh, just stand on your tippy toes because you're not tall enough. They won't know. So like, yeah, but I've noticed, I'm like, wow, like I've really been just so in a box for so
And
long.
that's why, Ashley, I have to look at the shadow, because I feel like I was that person. I was that person that would, and I thought that was right. Like, I had to push, I had to hustle. This is my goals. This is what I have to do. This is this. That's why I have to read the shadow to know that actually that is a shadow, because I don't know what the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's important what you were saying, like not to stay in it, because like I read it and I try and think about the things that I do, and then I go, okay, like move it along, like, let's move on. Yeah.
We all need to stop doing and start being. And the only way that our mind is going to let us just be is by convincing it. So that's why we're in this stuff. That's why we're reading this stuff and trying to get the wisdom of these different gene keys, is because our rational mind is like, no, this is not how life has been. We're not going to be able to survive on playing and loving life. Like, we're not going to get paid to play. And your soul is like, why not? So we're trying to convince our minds otherwise. And it's just like any affirmation. Like, you have to keep at it. You have to keep tapping into your heart instead of your mind and what your mind has been telling you, because it's not working anymore. And people are dissatisfied. People are not happy right now. There's tons of dissatisfaction, and that's why the change is coming. That's why we're here doing this work, so that we can bring that to the rest of the people who aren't awake, because it's us who are conscious of the energy and the shifts and all that stuff, and we're going to bring it to the rest of the world and teach them. My husband has no idea how to play. He's like, I'm the breadwinner. I need to go to work. I need to be the rock. I need to provide for you guys. He doesn't know how to play. He doesn't even know what he wants. He just knows he's dissatisfied, but he accepts the dissatisfaction because it's the norm. And I'm like, I will liberate you, brother. It is happening.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Like, I have 5 kids. I'm a single mom, and I'm like, and
Wow.
I'm like, I've been robbed my whole life. All I've done is work. And I'm like, I refuse to work. Literally, I've sat home for 3 months. I just started a job this week. I'm like, oh, well. I was like, but that's because I woke up. And now I'm like, my poor kids didn't have a mom. pretty much.
Don't
And
think
it's like,
don't think like that.
yeah, like, yeah,
They have
I
them all
know.
now. Be present now. Be
Yeah. And the older ones, they're like, oh, well, and the older ones are kind of like in shock, though. I'm like, listen, we need to pray. You need to do that. They're just like, can we have our mom back? Yeah, you can. The good one.
present.
Now let's go ride some rides.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, you can't live in the past, like, you have to look at it like those were all lessons learned, and I learned from them. Thank you. Bye. Now I don't believe in that anymore because it's time for me to party.
It's time to play.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
And actually,
what?
sorry.
I was gonna say
I was just
I'm going to give you guys a new link, and I think I'm gonna buy the upgraded version, but we have less than a minute until it kicks us off. So let's continue this in the other link because it's for sure we don't have that much time. So we're gonna do it one more time, and we'll stay on until a little bit after 8 or 20 more minutes, 30 more minutes. So if you guys want to hop on, if you don't, you don't have to, but I still want to talk. I don't feel like we concluded. There was no conclusion.
What other link?
Yeah, I'll get the other link.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't have the link now. We got to get off, and then I need to open a new one. So I'll get it.
Oh,
I'll put it in our group. Just go in our group, and the new link will be in there. So let's hop off now, and I'll do that right now, so I don't feel like I'm waiting for this minute to end. Okay, so I'll see you guys again in a second.
More than 30 years. And now I find that I've been working on my spiritual journey since the last year. So I'm doing less and trying to be more. And it's not really, I don't know, I find like I need to do. I need to be in a doing pattern rather than a being. So that's, for me, that's difficult, I find.
Yeah.
But I find, so for me, the satisfaction is really there, and it was actually really potent today. So this talk, is really timely for me. So I'll have to sit with that.
Yeah, I think it's hard when your energy has been performing a certain way for 60 years, it's hard to stop the wheel and reverse it.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you have to stop that momentum and then move it the other direction, because you've been doing your whole life, and like when you retire, it's about being, but still it's hard for people to just be. People don't know how to lean back and just be. It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
So it's a thing we have to.
Something to work on.
Yeah. No, that's doing. You need to surrender. Like something to work on.
It's like fear. Surrendering to that, replacing that fear with faith. Mm-hmm. That's huge.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody today, irrelevant who, but we were talking about fear and moving past that fear anyways. Like when you're I was on that live in the hippie tribe, or I think that's what the hippie tribe or something like that. And somebody he is my crazy one. I think he's an 8 too.
I was just gonna ask you that. That's something my daughter and husband I had to make a rule, like we don't throw things or beat the wall.
He is my husband's mini, so of course his energy is the same. He's like,
I think my son's an 8 too.
no.
He's bringing a vitality and life force to us.
For sure.
He doesn't know how to channel it right now. So 8s, when they don't have structure and they're like, what am I gonna do? Sometimes they get a little crazy with like their vitality.
That's so. Yeah, my son's he's a tornado. He doesn't know what to do with himself either.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Funny.
but he's my lover.
Yeah.
What's love? What's the love one?
2,
He must be 2. The other one.
the helper.
That's him.
Uh-huh.
That's weird because
They
here,
go back and forth then.
yeah, and here's Austin. And there's my husband, the 8. You're an 8. I'm not an 8.
He's totally standing like a too.
He's like, I'm not an 8. I'm a 10. Oh my god.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know what's crazy? My daughter's a 12, and I was reading it, and it was saying that the first 7 years are the most important years of her life because it's like not even like it has to be where she has her mother and her father at balanced equal amount of time, or it's going to be like some major healing will have to be taking place if she doesn't get that.
Does Enneagram go to 12?
Mm-mm.
What
Are you talking about life numbers or life something?
Oh,
No, the Gene Keys.
Oh, okay. For which
I'm
part?
talking about.
I mean, Alicia's like,
Yeah.
we're pulling in Alicia stuff too. Alicia does
Yeah.
Enneagram, and so when I say my husband's an 8, it's an energy type.
Yeah, and it's like an archetype, kind of like the Gene Keys too. But there's 9 of them, and they move in different directions. But I've been mapping how the Gene Keys and the Enneagram crossovers. That's what we were talking about.
More
so
crap for us
cool.
to pull in. More information. More
Yeah.
things to fill our lives with.
Yeah, that's what like I get juiced about. Like by telling him, like, he's an 8, he's banging the door.
You get a second wind off of it. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah.
Crazy boy. My little like messenger deliverer. Like if I need a message from the universe, like he delivers it. Like
Yeah.
that was cool. Let me see. Do you guys have any questions? I was kind of feeling like maybe we should do like a meditation and activation, but I was like, we'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling too high right now. I couldn't be a quiet meditative voice. I'd be like, okay, vitality. So, do you guys have any questions?
I have one. It kind of has to do with dissatisfaction. You know, with everything going on in the world, just the whole thing. Like last week, I just got so overwhelmed. I'm not over anything in particular, but just all of a sudden, I was just bawling. I mean, like a kid. I mean, like sobbing, and that I couldn't pinpoint any particular thing, and it just everything was just overwhelming. I got on Facebook, and it's fuck Trump and fuck, excuse my language, fuck this and fuck that, and everybody hating this, and everybody's got an opinion. And you know, I have one channel on my TV on purpose. I mean, I just don't pay for cable because it's just so much junk. And the one channel I get is because I watch the originals every Wednesday. That's the only thing I ever watch on TV. I don't watch news. You know, I read, I play with the kids, and I mean, I'm not around things that overwhelm me, but it was people that are empaths or cognizant. They just pick up this energy. How do you avoid that? You know, just
Alicia. Alicia has answers. I like as soon as you started talking, it's like Alicia. I will defer to Alicia.
Yeah, so that's like the story of my life. Yeah, I don't watch the news anymore. And what I've noticed with like the way the energetics are shifting, and like Ashley was saying, going towards the feminine, is I really have to increase my self-care and watch my stimulation. There's a gene key actually that I was reading about, like overstimulation. So for me, I have to really be present and notice, like, does my husband have the TV on in this room, or like playing video game, and my daughter's doing this, or like the dog's barking. Like sometimes it's like physical, like that will overwhelm me, and then that can kind of open me up to like everything else too. But other times, if it's like in the collective, and I catch it through like a neighbor or something, like I'm just open to it, right? Two things go on. I kind of check in with myself and see what it's rubbing up against me, because normally there's like So like dissatisfaction or anger or sadness or fear, or grief, or something that it kind of like pushed my button, that if I didn't have that to clear within myself, it wouldn't trigger. And then when the like overflow comes,
sadness with everything going on in the world, and how can I fix it? I can't fix that.
Yeah, well, and so that's recognizing too, like that's your ego that like wants you to fix it, right? And so it's like maybe like what I'm hearing is like a sadness of feeling powerless.
Right.
And then like, so that also like is in your genes and like your lineage too. So like your whole, everyone that came before you, there's a lot of like lineage and ancestral clearing too in the collective, right? And so if you're open to it, you can clear it for them. And so just sometimes it's just letting the tears flow. Sometimes it's writing, working with your crystals and the Epsom salt bath, something to like let it flow and clear it instead of like holding on to it and like needing to analyze it. And then, if there is like that piece where it's useful to analyze it, it's how can I be of service? What is my heart calling me to do, right? So like sadness is around our hearts, and how can we move into our power and our vitality? Actually, this is perfect. And recognizing that you don't have to do it alone, right? Like we're in this and as like a community and a collective right now, even, and just speaking about this. And the more that you even just clear that energy, you are doing something major for the collective too. It like raises our consciousness, and it can be really overwhelming. It feels really uncomfortable at times, but knowing like this too shall pass. It's just like, another storm, and then the peace will come again. And then you can actively choose to move into vitality or move into like whatever else it is that you consciously choose to do. Does that make sense? I feel like that was a lot, like all over the place.
It does. It is overwhelming. It's just so much going on. And, I sat and I thought, well, it's raining. It's the summer solstice. There's a full moon coming. I tried to do all the logical things of why I might be sad. But really, my house is clean. Everybody was being it good today. And, there really was no reason for it other than I just had to be off Facebook that day.
I have days like that too.
And as other than being in this group and the group that I admin, and then there's one other group I teach in, other than that, I haven't really been on Facebook that much. That's the one stressor. I mean, that's a big stress right now.
I feel like I want you to give yourself more credit for what you are doing, like with the whole crying thing, because it's a form of transmutation. You are doing stuff. You're not doing anything. It's like sometimes when you're in silence, your energy is doing more than the people who are out there protesting and because where is their energy coming from? Their energy is coming from fear. Your energy, like the sadness you feel, is like almost like she was like Alicia was saying, like it's comes from the heart. It's coming from the heart, and you're like, I want to do something, and then your body's like, you want to do something? Okay, cry and release this. And I remember when my father-in-law passed away, I was processing for everyone, and I'm a crier, and so I cried so hard, and I was like, I don't know where this is coming from, but I felt my husband, because I'm connected to my husband, and he's the rock, so he's not going to cry. I was crying for everyone, and I was like, you don't have to, and being strong doesn't mean not crying. You're doing stuff. You're transmuting when you're crying. You're taking that energy and it's coming out through your tears. And that's grace. That's what grace is.
And for me, that's unusual because in my family, I'm the rock and I never cry. So it was like crying me. I'm crying. And I wasn't just crying. I was bawling. So, it's just really unusual for me just to get that overwhelmed with all this emotion,
Well, what do children represent? Innocence. And what would happen if we were to imprison our innocence, if we were to cage off our fun, if we were to say, excuse me, inner child, you're not allowed to play, you're going to be separated from your mother and father, you get to go live in a cage. We're doing that to ourselves. That's why it hits home for everyone, is because we're fucking doing it to ourselves. We're like, excuse me, you don't get to play. It's mommy time. It's big girl time, and this life is so serious, and I have to go save the world, and therefore you can't play. So it hits home to everyone because we're telling ourselves that we can't play. And so when we see it out in the world and we're so shocked, it's like, hello, we're all doing it to ourselves. Why wouldn't it be in the real world? Because it's a reflection of what's going on inside of us.
Yeah.
So that's why it triggers a lot of people, is because ask yourself, how serious are you about your life, and how much are you caging off your inner child and separating yourself? I think I'm more passionate about that than the kids being put in cages. I'm like, oh, we're doing it to ourselves. That is riling me up. I'm like, come on, let's play. What were you gonna say, Alicia?
Yeah, the other thing that was coming through too about like being the strong one, and you saying like you can still be strong and cry. It feels like what I'm seeing for you right now is like a well of like all these tears that you haven't allowed yourself to cry all these years because you've been busy doing and trying to be what you think you need to be strong. And so it's like a buildup because you have this extra time, and it's like releasing, and it's overwhelming. And so that's what I was saying too about like the self-care is like sometimes you just need to cry until you're exhausted and then go take a nap, or like have some hot chocolate, or get like a cuddle or something, right?
Cuddle.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever crimped a hose? You know how when you crimp a hose and you don't let it come out, when you open it, it just goes.
Yeah, like a fire. Yeah, fire
thing.
spray. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the place. So of course, when you allow yourself to cry, it's gonna be, it's like you can't stop it until it's done. You're like, you open the floodgates, and guess what? It's gonna keep coming until it's done. So that makes sense, Amy, why you're like, I don't know why this is happening. And like, also, obviously we had the full moon and that's release, and we had all the energetic stuff that was going on. It was all aligned for you to just get it out. What's good for you is good for all.
For the last, since when I've been awakening for the last 6 months, and my son, he's only 5, and he's like, all you do is cry, baby. He's like, cry. And Kelsey, my daughter, she's 6. Is she crying again?
Yes, I'm honoring your emotion.
And I'm like, yeah, but it's a good cry. I'm healing. Like, but it's funny. Like, yeah, I feel the same way. I never cried. I mean, like, now it feels so good to cry. You just have to just let that out because it's healing. It's good. We go out in the rain. I've been doing that too. I'm like, you know what? I'm going out in the rain. That's like the best healing energy, sucking, take away all that negative crud. Like, I do. I go right out there. The kids are like, you're in the rain. I'm like, I know. Come out here. Let's go.
You're like more of a kid than your kids.
Yeah, again. I love it. Gosh, I hid her for so long. Now I'm unleashing her.
Yes.
Watch out, world.
I found that kids were probably the most healing thing that I ever did in my life. Just, anything that I ever did wrong, or any problems I ever had, the kids healed me. I was more of a kid as an adult than I ever was as a child, and that came from playing with my kids and watching and observing and seeing how they did it. And I'd get on the floor and color with them. And as a child, I was never a child, but as an adult, I'm able to be a child. I don't know if that makes sense, but
It does.
Just the way things were in my life. But it's just the way that it worked. But I mean, not that anything was bad about it. It was just the way that it was. I had a lot of older people in my life that I had to take care of, and my father was military. We traveled a lot, and I spent a lot of time alone, so I didn't have a lot of friends. But when I had my kids, it was like everything they did. It was like, wow, okay, let me do that. So it was real healing to have kids. I swear I just love my kids, and I love my grandkids, and I never stop learning, just like they don't. And, in any journey you never stop learning, but the kids have really been great. I love my kids. That's one thing.
That's beautiful. It's like a gift that you got to give to yourself.
definitely,
That's
for
awesome.
sure. And
There's
when
some.
I was younger, I
Huh?
said I'd never have them because I thought, oh, this world is just so horrible. But when I had them, I was just so glad that I did, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the other piece of this too, is like, where are you focusing? You know, kind of going back to like the crying, and so like spending some time, and like, so how Ashley was talking about earlier about the shadow, like we can look at it and recognize it, but then also remembering to like shift our focus, because our energy flows where our attention goes.
Mhm.
And so if you release and clear and cry, then you have all this extra room in your heart space, and it feels like your heart is calling you back to play. Like when you're speaking about your children, it feels like your heart wants to be allowed to have more childlike being and action.
Mhm.
Yeah, because you have to replace it once you cry. What I do is I hold my heart and I sit there and breathe in love until I feel better,
Mhm.
because I'm not going to let that sit and just get back in. I'm like, no, stay out. Let me replace it with love.
You're not replacing it, so don't feel, because if you're feeling like energy, all that energy is yours. So even the stuff that's releasing or coming out of you, you're not actually going like this. Get away from me. You're like
It's just alchemizing.
Transmuting it.
alchemize. Yeah, you're
Alchemizing it.
repurposing it into like it's your perception. It's a shift. And so energy, you don't want to push any energy away. So that's why I'm like, boundaries are stupid, because you're just separating yourself from yourself. So I'm like, come on,
Right.
come to me. And like, put it, like, if you can think about it, like if you're gonna release it, it's like coming, it's like a Taurus, it's gonna come back into you. So what filter are you putting it through? Because it came to you in like a fear-based filter or like a negative, and how are you going to turn it into a positive? So like, put it through that filter of love when it comes back into you, so that you're like, she's alchemizing, transmuting, turn it into something else. It's not about taking your energy and like putting it out there. So like, first of all, before I get into this, because I feel like we're needing to like do some like energy stuff. Somebody's not saying something. Like I feel something in my throat, and I'm like, who wants to talk? So if you want to talk, there's
Oh,
something.
I wanted to say something.
Okay.
Okay. So would it help if she would get rid of those posts that is doing this, or is that just not helping?
If she were to get rid of what?
The posts, like, so say for instance, you know how you get all these feeds, because she was saying she was watching Facebook and all
Oh,
these
yeah.
posts would come on. So would it help if she would unfriend them or whatever, so that she doesn't see those things?
Yeah. So have you guys ever been on the site MeWe? It's like another Facebook. When I go into MeWe, and I don't spend time there because there's not a lot of stuff going on there, but it's so clean. The energy in there is clean. The energy in Facebook is so distracting and so in your face, and like you can feel the pressure on your heart. So you have to like, nope, 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 nope. But if you're intentionally going there, you're taking it in. So yeah, unfriend. But know that it's not because you're like putting up boundaries. You're just saying, I respect myself and my energy, and I'm prioritizing what I allow into my field. That's it. So yeah, you're right, Charm. Like, put like unfriend. Not. I mean, you don't even have to unfriend. Unfollow. Don't unfriend people. Unfollow them and be like, you're not. I'm not prioritizing you right now. I'm not allowing you my energy to interact with yours right now because it's not a priority for me. You know.
I did actually unfriend a couple because they called me racist of all things. I said something that had nothing to do with anybody's color, and I don't usually use my profile, my real face. They don't know what color I am. They don't know anything to have called me that.
Mm.
But yeah, I did unfriend that person. But most of the people that are on my friends list are actual clients. Either they're
Mm.
clients or they're people that I work with or for.
Yeah.
So it's not an option for some of them. You know, so
Yeah.
and I rarely put anything on my Facebook political. It's them, a lot of their stuff, and then if you get tired of seeing it, and so you put something really nice, just kind of like, I get really tired of seeing this. So probably didn't say it like that, but then all of a sudden I was a racist and I was this and I was that, and I thought, that's not right, and just because somebody has a different opinion, that doesn't make me a racist. It doesn't make me a bigot, or I got called all kinds of things, and it was just because I asked them. It's kind of depressing to see this stuff day after day after day. We know what's going on. We got to trust that it's not up to any one of us. It's actually up to somebody else. We got to trust that they're going to do the best they can. And I really don't. I mean, for one thing, if those kids are coming in with mules, yeah, take them away from those people. We don't know. I don't really have an opinion about what's going on. What I do have an opinion is I don't want to see it. I mean, I don't want to hear everybody's opinion. I want to hear facts, real facts, and then to have my own opinion. But, I did unfriend a few people, but, some of them, and a lot of them aren't even in this country, so it's like, they demonize America, and that just really, really bothers me. And I guess that's because I'm from a military family, and I get that. I realize that in myself. I know that part, but then at the same time, it's like you half these people are talking about we're about to have a civil war. Half these people are saying buy your guns, stock up on water, and these other people are saying, oh, give us your guns, give us your guns. I mean, it's just all so ridiculous. I mean, peace, man. You just want to hold up your fingers and be, sing that Imagine song by John Lennon,
I love that song.
It's crazy. And it doesn't matter how nice you are to these people, everybody wants to argue. It's just aggravating.
Everyone's scared. People are scared, and people do a lot of stuff when they're scared. And the same thing with us. Like, when we give our power away and we become a victim of another person's opinion, of another person's negativity, we then, when we're in the victim state, try to control that outer world. And so we're like, hey, don't say this kind of stuff. Hey, I don't like seeing that. Hey, I'm gonna, like, there needs to be a time where, like, we need do nothing outside of our own selves. It's like there needs to be a shift in our own perspective so that we're not triggered anymore, so that we're not feeling the need to change someone else's opinion or shove opinions down people's throats too, for another matter. I feel like there's a lot of people out there. Yeah.
If they have an opinion, that's fine, but when you get hateful, that's when I have to draw a line,
Yeah.
Is hate a fear state? Are they the same thing?
Yeah, it's an intolerance. Hate is a lot of different things, and I think hate happens when we are scared of something else. Like hate is a strong word. I don't know. Does anyone have an opinion on or a belief on like what hate is or why people would hate?
I'm just trying to figure out how I can reflect that back in a loving way without an attack.
But you're wanting to reflect it because you're hoping to change, and all those people are wanting is acceptance. You're wanting acceptance, they're wanting acceptance. And when you are like, I want to mirror to you what I want you to be, that's you wanting to change, because it makes you uncomfortable when they're in that state. Instead, we need to accept everyone for where they're at and not try to change anyone. We're not here to change anyone, except we're in control of ourselves. That's all that we can hope for. We're not here to change another person. When we're coming from a place of love within ourselves, whatever happens as a ripple effect of what we're putting out is a bonus. It's not the purpose of our energy to go out and change people, because that's control. And love doesn't control. It's unconditional. So regardless of your being a yatch to the other person, love will still love you. It's unconditional. So we need to learn how to be unconditional ourselves. I'm not saying you're doing it wrong, because like everyone does this, right? but it's fear because we are tired and dissatisfied from the state of everybody here. We're tired of people hating. We're tired of people bringing fear into the world. We're dissatisfied with it all. We just got notified of 10 minutes. Let's see, somebody posted, Cheryl, possibly ignorance and fear is what the hate is where the hate comes from. Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
division.
let's go to the vitality and bliss. Let's not end on something depressing.
So what if we were able to, hold on, let me close the chat. I don't want the chat. But what if we were able to like accept everything and bring everything back into ourselves? Because think about if we all come from source and we are all God in these bodies, then we are all the same. We're all pieces of each other. Like I'm Alicia, I'm Michelle, Michelle is Charm, Amy is Patty, Cheryl, we're all one because we have the same energy within us. It's just manifesting through us, right? So whenever we have these kind of relationships, we're seeing parts of ourselves. We are source interacting with source. And so if we can just accept and bring in and love everyone, we are loving parts of ourselves. So what if we're able to bring in all these parts of our energy and pieces of us that we have given away or are put in the past or put in the future, and what if we're able to bring that energy to the present, bring our presence to the present, and just be conscious about breathing, our breath, because our breath is what anchors us in the present. And if we're able to be present with our breath, we're able to pull our presence here. So I think that we should probably like go into some kind of short meditation where we're just getting present with our breath and allowing ourselves to like intentionally pull in the energy to us so that we feel whole and complete. Because when we have all of our energy within us and when we're connecting to our highest selves, we're whole, we're complete, there's only love. And when we can stay in that state, there is no more healing that needs to be done and everything's perfect in the present. So we need do nothing. And I feel like a lot of us are losing touch with our presence because we are so busy and distracted with our dissatisfaction from the outer world. So let's just go back into our heart and pull back in all those pieces of us. So, okay, whenever you guys are ready, just like close your eyes and then start to take a big, deep breath into your heart. So imagine instead of going into your lungs, you're breathing into your heart. So just breathe that deep cleansing breath into your heart. And allow your breath to go in places in your body that feel discomfort or unease or any agitation. Like if like right now my lower back is feeling weird, so I'm gonna breathe into that. Get present with that. Get present with all these places in your body that are talking to you. All these little signals going off. Breathe into those places. And I want you to start feeling into your heart and feeling that source energy in there. If you want to go above, like 300 feet above you, you can do that and pull from source energy and just breathe it through your chakras into your heart and just take a deep breath and bring some of that white light through your crown, your third eye, your throat, and into your heart. And just allow source energy to pull down into your heart. So let's take a big deep breath and fill ourselves with that energy. I can start seeing the little sparks to integrate in our hearts and just allowing our breath to guide that energy to different places of our body. And since we're bringing it to our heart, we're actually bringing it into our bloodstream and pumping that throughout our body. So we really don't need to force this energy anywhere. Just by intentionally bringing it into the heart, we're able to allow the heart to do the work for us, our soul to do the work for us. So now that we are feeling that energy flow through us, I'm getting a little bit warm. I want you to take your hands and intentionally start bringing back like the energy to you. So like keep bringing the stuff to your heart. All the pieces that you left in the past, where all your attention is focused on where happiness may have been, where it's not now, the dissatisfaction you feel now. I want you to bring any of your awareness that went to the past, to places that aren't anymore. You know, when your kids were small, when you got married, when you were a kid. Bring all that happiness and energy to you now. And then I want you to go to the future, to where you feel like, oh, if this happened, I would be happy then. And just keep bringing that energy in. And allow yourself to integrate that back into your being, into your presence now. And I want you to take any dissatisfaction that you're holding now in the present, and I want you to take all of that into you. I want you to accept and embrace all the things that you are dissatisfied with. And it's not to say that you're embodying this shadow. I want you to start transmuting it with that source energy. I want you to stop putting your attention to the things that frustrate you, to the things that aggravate you. And I want you to get really present with being happy in the now, and knowing that in this moment all is well, and there's nothing that needs to be changed, there's nothing that needs to be fixed, so that you can stop feeling this anxiety and dissatisfaction, so that you can start just feeling into your essence and your presence. And I also want you to bring your attention to wherever you feel source energy is, and I want you to start bringing that energy into you and embodying that energy. Anytime you feel like source, God, the universe is outside of you, I want you to start bringing it in and embodying that energy. So if you were to go up to get that source energy above you, I want you to start lassoing it and just pulling it into you, because it is you, it's part of you. And you don't have to go outside of you to feel that. So just pull all that energy in with your breath, and move your hands and allow yourself to feel the energy, and to feel yourself become more expansive, and to feel that energy vibrating in you. You no longer have to go outside of yourself for that energy. You no longer have to go and seek those answers outside of you. You don't have to feel God elsewhere. You don't have to have a certain ritual, meditation, whatever. You are God. It's in you. It's in your heart. So bring that energy to your heart and allow it to just stay inside you. You're not separate from it, just like we're not separate from each other. We come from the same source. So let's bring it into ourselves and allow ourselves to accept and embrace all and be all. Okay, so I'm feeling this ball of energy in front of me, and you all, I see you all with it as well. And it's this, I'm not going to give it a color because you guys will have your own colors, but this is vitality. This is the gift of vitality. And I want you to feel it. Feel the vibration in your hands. And if you're not feeling it, that's fine, but it's there. And I want you to breathe that in. You can drink it in. You can merge it into you. Bring that energy into you and let it activate in you. Let yourself activate the 58th gift. Pull it in. What? Why are you laughing?
Because I see my bubble and I went into it, and then I was like swimming and then started twirling around and playing in it. So it's just a lot of giggly, laughy, like transmuting energy.
Yay!
Yeah.
Because it's time to embody this. It's time to tap into our vitality. It's time. We no longer need to be dissatisfied. Let's just do what we love and tap into this energy. So I want you to start embodying it. Let it permeate through your whole being. Put it in your heart. Let your heart pump it to all parts of you. Okay. Now I want you to ground this energy. Feel the bottoms of your feet open up and allow yourself to ground into Gaia. Allow yourself to just get and anchor into the heartbeat of the earth, and ground this energy so that it's in this physical reality with you, so that you're able to experience vitality here. We have less than a minute left, so continue to breathe and integrate this energy and ground as best you can, even though we will be separated. We're not separate. None of us are separate. We're integrated. We're whole. We have vitality. We can access bliss because it's who we are, and we get to choose our experience. So let's be mindful about our choices and what we want to bring into our life, and know that